Hi, I'm the Wordy Phoenix. Welcome to my channel, and today I want to talk about The Reader by Traci Chee. The Reader by Traci Chee is a fun fantasy tale set in a time when reading is a long forgotten skill shrouded in magic and mystery. The plot is rife with the importance of literacy and forces us to take a look at life without literature, without stories having been accessibly recorded and immortalized. This book reminds us that there is a magic in stories, the ones we live, the ones we make up, both. The author reminds us that the preservation of these stories has always been important, and in a way is its own kind of magic. I think that was pretty non-spoilery, so now let's deep dive into a little bit of my personal thoughts on the book. Now, the saying art imitates life comes to mind when I think of this book. Our main character, Sephia, becomes absolutely smitten with the idea and the act of reading as she learns it. And in her absence of the skill as a reader, ourselves as the reader of the book, of the story, we can kind of feel the pain, her pain and helplessness of living in a world without a tangible sense of direction, the reliability of tested information that books provide. And I actually think that this is something that we take for granted all the time. Consider it. Without books, fiction and non-fiction, whose stories do you trust? After the death of her parents, Sephia is thrust out into the world with no idea who she can trust. She has nothing but a burning desire for revenge and a responsibility to protect the book, whatever that is, passed down to her through her family line. Even with that being the case, Sephia is left to blindly navigate learning to read by herself. She has to figure out on her own which words carry the weight of worth. The words of books, or the words of men that can change books, or the words of men that can change at the slip of a hat. That just as easily as they can be said, can be denied. By men, of course, I mean mankind. The words of people can easily be lies, or their stories can be misleading or mistold or be retold with the addition of numerous falsehoods in moments, with the flick of a tongue, really. The whole story is a slow burn, and honestly so is the romance, but I learned to get used to that. I usually don't like a slow pacing. I can't say that I loved it in this book, but I did get used to it. I actually grew pretty fond of it. It was okay. One of the things that I loved is that for a majority of the story, one of the main characters is mute. We learn later on in the story that he does have the ability to speak, but due to a lot of the trauma that he's gone through, he has kind of fallen out of using that skill, and I really loved that element in the book. I loved seeing the characters develop their own brand of sign language and learn to communicate with each other. I love how intimacy was not compromised because of their inability to use oral communication. I love how the author showed that. If anything, I feel like their sense of intimacy was actually heightened. They came up with a nonverbal communication system all their own. Their closeness was not stunted by the absence of speech, but rather, dare I say, it was heightened by it. And that was really interesting to me. Now, this is a fantasy, so there's an element of premonitions and assassins and bar brawls and even pirates for a large portion of the story. I didn't expect that. And what was really cool was that for a large portion of the story, we think we're reading about 3 separate stories, but there comes a point in the plot where these 3 stories converge, and we realize that none of it within the fictional story is fiction. I love that. I didn't see all 3 of those stories converging. I thought for sure at least 2 of them would converge. But then the 3 of them did, and I was so happy. We even think that these stories, at least I did, I thought that these 3 stories were happening in 3 completely separate locations, and it turns out no, they're happening in the same place. They meet as we approach the end of the plot. And it was fantastically done. There's a point when Sephia comes face to face with one of the characters she's been reading about in the book, and honestly I was like, gasp! Gasp! It's you! And I'm right along with her in the shock of the moment. Now, like I said, this story is a bit slow going, but I really like how the author uses her words to build the pacing, to build her world, its culture, its folklore. We get a lot of chances to see what this world has done in the absence of reading, or the ability to read by so many people. How they've progressed, or rather how they have not progressed. How have they developed a news sharing system? How does that go? How does that work? What about technology? How has that developed or not developed? How they spread news? And it was honestly a lot of fun. I love when authors take the time to build a world down to its folklore. But I love me some folklore, so I may be biased in that regard. But so fun reading about it. This book is slow going and is the first of a series, and honestly I thought I wouldn't continue with the trilogy, but as I finish it I think I really will. As we went along and questions were answered and a lot of things that were hidden came to light, the intrigue just built in me, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to these characters or this world or this magic system or this just overall open appreciation for reading and books. So I'm going to go right ahead and read the next installment and really just continue to enjoy the story. All in all, this book was not what I expected. I didn't expect so many characters to have so many hidden powers. I didn't expect there to be a library of hidden assassins charged with the responsibility to protect words from power-hungry politicians and dominators. I didn't expect to become so invested in the main characters and their romance and how they come to love each other through struggle and challenges and bloodshed. I did expect it to remind me of the power and value of words and books and stories, and there the author did not fail me. Great read. Can't wait to go on to the next installment. That's it for me. That's my short review on The Reader by Traci Chee. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like these book talks. I love sharing them with you. I love doing them. And yeah, subscribe, share, come on back. Peace, books, bye.